this what I'm going to be sharing with you is actually what I heard at church this morning. But what my Pastor Craig talked about was his top title was The Empire Life of David. That's not what I'm talking about, but I'm going to take some of what he talked about because I was extremely blessed and I was extremely inspired and along these lines. So what I introduced this on was, have you ever felt unsupported, overlooked, underestimated, and you're not alone, especially if you have ventured into a small business. Maybe you're into marketing. It doesn't even matter. If you've just said you want to go back to school, if you've just said you want to become a superstar, sometimes you'll find that the very people you hope and expect to support you are not doing so. And it's just amazing. Some of us are very floored, very disappointed, very upset, but we're not alone. We're in great company. But let me just start with a quick prayer. Hey, Britt. Hey, Ibrahim. So, okay, so Tree here. Let me just start with a really quick prayer and just jump into this. I plan not to be here any longer than 8 o'clock if I'm even here that long, okay? All right, so Father, I just come to you today, and I really thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate the opportunity of Facebook Live. It's opportunity for me to reach people I'm not physically sitting in the same room with. It's just so amazing, Lord, because you've given us the great commission to go and share, Lord. I have my ticket to heaven, but that's not good enough. It's like the Titanic, Lord. We need to come back and help save others. So Father, this aha that you've given me today, I just really want to share it. Hopefully someone else will be just as blessed, maybe even more so than I was. They hear you and not me, in the name of Jesus. Amen. Okay, so have you ever felt unsupported, estimated, and worst of all, have you felt that way by people whom you expect to be in your corner, whom you expect to have your back, who you think are going to be the first ones to offer a helping hand? And we are so disappointed, and sometimes so disappointed to the point where we want to give up just because those people we thought us are not willing to help us. And that is a very, very real situation, a very sad state of affairs, but we're not alone. We're in very, very good company. So hey Jim, hey Brad. So let me just read this real quick. I got some notes, and I'm reading to you from 1 Samuel 16 verses 6 through 7, and then jumping to 10 through 13. They arrived, Samuel took one look at Eliab and thought, surely he's anointed. But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance. I rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearances, but the Lord looks at the heart. Jumping to verse 10. In the same way, all 7 of Jesse's sons were presented to Samuel. But Samuel said to Jesse, the Lord has not chosen any of these. Then Samuel asked, are these all the sons you have? They're still the youngest, Jesse replied, but he's out in the fields watching the sheep and goats. Send for him at once, Samuel said. We will not sit down when he arrives. So Jesse sent for him with beautiful eyes. And the Lord said, this is the one, anoint him. So David stood there among his brothers. Samuel took the flask of olive oil he had brought and anointed David with the oil, and the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully on David from that day on. Then Samuel returned to Ramah. Okay, so how does this connect? But really, guys, I hope you'll see it really quickly as I did. The first thing is that don't judge by, God told Samuel not to judge by his appearance or height. Guys, when we have models, fashion models, what are they looking for? The tall and the attractive. They're still doing that today. So some of us who are vertically challenged, which I'm not, I'm pretty tall for a girl. I'm 5'10", 5'9"-ish. According to my husband, I'm shrinking. So I'm probably in the 9-ish, 5'9"-ish area. But new ones have a tendency, including Samuel, the man of God, was looking for this tall, handsome person and assumed right off the bat that was the person that God was choosing, and that was not. So here's the thing. David, to your attention. David was doing the sheep. His father never even considered for a moment that David even deserved to be there. Guys, there are some giants in our lives that we're trying to overcome, and the story of David and Goliath, but the first giant that David had to overcome right here was his father. His father didn't even think David even deserved to be in the lineup. He didn't even deserve to be in the lineup. Hey, Samora. Hey, Michael. David did not, according to his dad, did not even deserve to be in the lineup. He was out there with the sheep, the least of the jobs, okay? And if you look at any of history, being a shepherd was a dirty job. It was the least of the jobs, and that was the job David had. And when Samuel said, hey, God told me he's going to be king, the first giant that David had to overcome was not that Philistine Goliath, okay? This one was his father. His father didn't even think it deserved to be. I mean, Samuel had to say, are these all your sons? Because he knows God didn't make a mistake. He was very clear about what God told him. And none of these boys on God's radar. So Samuel had to ask. Samuel didn't assume God made a mistake. Samuel had to ask the question, are these all the sons you have? Because he knew the mission God sent him on. And God said one of Jesse's sons was going to be king, and none of the seven. He never thought it necessary to call David. So that is when Samuel had to say, hey, go send for him. So guys, listen, as I said, when sometimes we don't feel supported, overlooked, we feel underestimated, right? To the point where, I mean, we're really wondering what's going on here. The first giant we have to overcome is the people closest to us, the people we think would get the most support from. Okay, in this case, it was David's father. Did not see son when he looked on at David. All right, he didn't see it. That giant that David had to overcome right there. Next thing was that after David had been brought into the lineup, then not only was he anointed, but I'll get back to that. Because his father sends him as a messenger boy to go check up on his brothers who are now fighting as soldiers in Saul's army. So let's jump to 1 Samuel 17 verse 28. It says, but when David's oldest brother Eliab, let's put the pause right there. The oldest brother Eliab, the oldest brother, same one, Samuel said, I think he's going to be the one. So, you know, Eliab has it up for David especially, right? So when David's oldest brother Eliab heard David talking to him, and he was angry. What are you doing around here anyway? He demanded. What are those few sheep you're supposed to be taking care of? I know about your pride and deceit. The battle. Okay, so here it is. Eliab is also another giant in David's life. Eliab doesn't see his brother as a warrior. I didn't see him as deserving. That was a big giant that David. He wasn't even going to have the opportunity. I don't know how many of you have had that situation where your parents are not supporting you, not even giving you the opportunity for something. And then his big brother says, who the heck do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You think you're a warrior? Come on. Like, what are you doing here? Go take care of the few sheep. He's minimizing the job that David was doing and further devaluing David and saying, what the heck are you doing here? So the next giant that David had to overcome, because guess what, guys? Hi, Sif. Hey, Sheldon. If some of us listen to these people any further, right? If some of us listen to these people in our lives, we wouldn't take the next step. Who wouldn't even take the next step. His father didn't think he was deserving, didn't even bother to send for him. Now his brothers tell him, what the heck you doing here? You don't belong here. Two very close people in David's life, two giants David had to overcome. Because whose voice are you listening to, people? Whose voice are you listening to? So David now, his brother didn't see him as a warrior. No business being there. That was the next giant that he had to overcome. Here, please leave me a shout out, a comment, something, because honestly, after this video is over, all the names that are coming up on the screen, they're going to disappear once the video is in replay. They're not going to be there. So if you don't mind, just say hi, make a comment, just so that I know you were here. I really, really would appreciate it. So he had his dad who didn't seem as deserving, his brother who didn't seem as a warrior, but guess what? Then he goes on in 1 Samuel 17, verses 32 to 33. It says, starts asking about what's going on here, and what's this Philistine talking about, and hey, why isn't anybody willing to fight this Philistine? I'm willing to fight him. So now Saul, the King Saul, gets word of it, and he's like, okay, now bring me this person, let me see what's going on. And David says, don't worry about this Philistine. David told Saul, I'll go fight him. Don't be ridiculous. There's no way you can fight this Philistine and possibly win. You're only a boy, and he's been a man of war since his youth. Hey, Shanta. So here's the thing now. So the king did not see David as a possible champion. Goliath was not the only giant. David was not the only had to overcome. Didn't want to give him a chance, didn't even bring him into the lineup, didn't see him as deserving of an opportunity. His brother thought, what the heck are you doing here, right? You have no business being here, right? And then no chance of being a champion. Listen, guys, we've had people tell us, this isn't gonna work. Time. Why are you even bothering? Why haven't you given up yet? This is I mean, honestly, we listen to some of these people ever take the chance. What was David's chance? David was a shepherd up to this point. A chance to be king. It took him 20 years from the time to the time that David actually sat on that throne. But Samuel dropped a word in David, you're going to be king one day. David had listened to his father, to his brother, or to the king, and given over, he would have given up, turned around, sat his little ass right back at being a shepherd, and never ever stepped forward. The question is, what are you listening to? So after he didn't get supported, hey Danny, he didn't get supported, estimated, he was overlooked, his dad didn't seem as deserving, his brother didn't seem as a warrior, the king didn't seem as a champion. Talk about being unsupported, overlooked, underestimated. These were other giants that David had to fight. He had to get these voices out of his head moving forward. And what did God do? For David's belief in the word of God, for David listening to the voice of God, what was his reward? Well, it started right away, because after his dad didn't even want to bother to call him, they all had to wait, not even start the meal, and they had to wait for David, and then he stood there amongst his brothers. He took his rightful place among them, and ultimately he took the throne, okay? Because here's the thing, the giants we have to overcome. It's not only the voices we have to ignore, but also sometimes the biggest giant we have to overcome and the voice we have to drown is our own. Okay? How do you see you? David was just a shepherd. That's all he was. but he was a man after God's heart. He really trusted God. And he had been trusting God all along. Even though he was just a shepherd, he had already been fighting the bear and the lion and all of these things. Okay, so he was already positioning himself because of that alignment, that relationship. How do you see you? Remember, God is not choosing based on height and good looks. That's how the world picks leaders. Okay, that's why the girl who's going to be a model has to be tall, rail thin, and they're fighting the curvier models because they want a certain look. God has no interest in how you, but he is interested in how you think, how you move, what you believe. Okay, and so here it is now. They had to, after ignoring David, they had to wait, and right in front of all of them, anoint David as king. From that point on, all of them understood David's position, the very one they did not even think was deserving. They didn't think was worthy as a warrior. His brother said, "What the heck are you doing here?" I mean, now they all had to bow to this man. Okay, and he ultimately took the throne. How do you see you? God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. Do you believe that? Because it will take fear of listening to all this crap coming in your ears, of you're not deserving, what the heck you doing here, who do you think you are, this won't work, this is wrong, you are wrong, this is stupid things. Okay, but if you have to be bold, you have to move forward anyway. And guess what, all those naysayers, those haters, if you hang in there and they may be your father, they may be your brother, they may even be a leader in your space, the king telling him, "You're just a boy, what are you doing here? You can't win." If you listen to these people, you will stop in your tracks, turn around, go home, never ever see the day take that crown and you sit on that throne. You have to keep moving forward. And remember, God says in 2 Corinthians 12:19, my grace is all you need, and God's power works best in our weakness. And God confounds he shames the wise by using simple things. And then other person that we are also in good company with is Jesus, because most of you know this one in John 4:44, where Jesus himself said, "A prophet has no honor in his hometown." Unfortunately, guys, not everybody. There are some people who have people close to them that will support them. I know I have some people in my corner that will support me, but I have to tell you, it wasn't always that way. And sometimes you have to prove through consistency, through staying with something, through really being who you are, sticking to your rules, creating your boundaries, and then they will eventually see it, right? But unfortunately for some of us, some of the giants in our lives are going to be our families, are going to be our friends, are going to be leaders around us, are going to be those voices in our heads, and most of all, sometimes the biggest hurdle is ourselves. So the question I want to ask you is, what are you going to listen to? Are you simply just going to say, "Whoops, there's a giant," and shaking your shoes like all the soldiers of the Israeli army back in that time, and none of them, they're just listening to this Philistine tell them all kind, "Oh, you can't win, oh, just come in." He was taunting them, and they were all shaking. And David said, "I'll go and fight that Philistine." And the king is saying, "You're just a boy." His father thought he was undeserving. His brothers didn't see him as a warrior. The king didn't see him as a champion. But he was all those things. But he knew it. They didn't. God knew it. They didn't. And it took some time for them to see it. Guys, you just have to hang in there. You just have to hang in there. And you have to listen to this. Because it's sometimes the very ones closest to you, if you listen to them, you will give up. You will stop. You will kill your dream before it even. So I'm done. It's 5 minutes on the top of the hour. Like I said, I was going to be here till no later than 8 o'clock. Guys, I appreciate you jumping on. I'm going to ask you just leave a hi, a hello, or something because once I hit finish on this, all these names that are popping up here will not show up in the replay. And I really would like to remember who was here. So Trudy here, super simple to find. I really appreciate you jumping on. Hey, John Perez. Hey, Pablo. And I really do. I hope this was of somebody to somebody, guys. Giants David fought was not just Goliath. He had to fight his family. He had to fight. He did have to fight Goliath. He had to get over all those giants. His dad didn't think he was deserving. His brother didn't see him as a warrior. The king didn't see him as a champion. He was all those things. He had to ignore all those voices and push through and believe what God told him, that he was going to be king one day. He got the anointing that day. It took 20 years for him to actually see and sit on that throne. Guys, hang in there, do what you need to do, and you will see that day come. Trudy here. Appreciate you. Bye.